This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com, and this is our very first interview with a social media personality, not really related to wrestling, but I'm sure there's a lot of wrestling fans that'll be interested in her. She is an OnlyFans star who has a massive YouTube following herself. Whatever, Amy, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. But to start this off, do you want to tell us how you first got started? I know you're a massive social media personality in a very short period of time. Was this kind of an overnight success or something that you had to work towards?
I think it all really started with my Twitter. I kind of got onto Twitter in 2015 and I just, needed an outlet to talk and complain about my commute to the city and, all the things I was observing in life. And um, it just kind of snowballed. And by the time I started my OnlyFans, which was kind of on a whim, I already had 100,000 followers on Twitter. So I was very lucky, and a lot of those migrated over to, check me out in OnlyFans. And so I kind of had a big like kaboom right away when I decided to do that. But everything started with Twitter and kind of snowballed from there.
What city are you based in?
I'm in New Jersey.
Okay. So as far as Twitter to OnlyFans, were you posting like obviously you're very voluptuous, have a very beautiful figure.
Thank
Were you
you.
posting pictures like that that led you to believe you would have success on OnlyFans?
I really wasn't posting very much on Twitter. Here and there I would post a selfie and people were asking to buy my pictures. And I was like, oh. And then I was seeing all of these, smart, funny, beautiful girls that I followed on Twitter starting at OnlyFans. And I was like, wow, like, I don't know, maybe I'll just give it a whirl. And what's the worst that could happen? I could completely bomb and humiliate myself, or I could have a good time. I've always been a really, sexual person, and I find the outlet fun and exhilarating and a little liberating and empowering. So I have fun with it.
As far as your OnlyFans, I assume if fans want to check it out, it's under whatever, Amy. But what type of content is on there? I know wrestler OnlyFans. It's usually nude pictures for the female wrestlers.
Yes, I do offer a variety of nudes, semi nudes, lingerie. I do have, some naughty content videos as well.
Very interesting. And you've had a lot of success, obviously, with OnlyFans. How many OnlyFans subscribers do you have? It's something you just.
I have quite a few. I'll leave it at that.
So, what have been some of your, obviously, your look and your personality is what's going to get people to subscribe, but is there any secrets for other content creators on here that might be watching?
For me, I feel like, listen, there's free porn all over the internet. And I feel like people join these subscription sites for the connection to that person. And even on Twitter, I get people when I answer a message, they're like, "Oh my God, you answered me? You have so many followers and you answered me." And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't get that as many messages as you would think, despite how many followers I have. But I feel like answering your own messages and being a sincere person is, the key to having that connection and making these friendships and keeping people interested in what you're doing in your everyday life. And that's been successful for me. I enjoy, talking to people, and my subscription sites are places for fun. So, we have a great time over there, and it's not so, as regimented as the regular social media. So I think people find that to be fun, and I'm easygoing, and they feel comfortable with me, and I enjoy it.
Now, of course, adult content creators have some stigmas associated with them and some challenges. Is there anything you do to like overcome those challenges, or do you just not care?
I think you have to have a thick skin when you're kind of putting yourself out there. And of course, no one wants to hear negative comments about themselves, but it happens every once in a while. And I've been very lucky. My followers on social media are really great. And, I consider myself a nice person, and my tweets are just snarky, observations of everyday life, and people can relate to that. And when you see that I'm just a regular person and I'm just out here having fun, it's I try and keep the drama to a very very minimal amount. So I'm usually pretty lucky, but every once in a while someone will get under your skin.
Now, as far as OnlyFans, I know there's some restrictions to OnlyFans. What made you choose OnlyFans as your primary subscription platform? And I understand from my friend that you're a pioneer, one of the pioneers of OnlyFans. Are you one of the first to really be there when it started?
No, no, no. I've only been on it for 3 years. I think they've been around, a little longer than that. But I really didn't know of other, OnlyFans at that time was the fourth and foremost, like that was the main one. So all, Fansly and Loyal Fans and all these other sites kind of came in after. It was an afterthought. So OnlyFans was like the popular one, and I didn't really know a lot about it. I had to do my research and check it out, and I had a friend that helped me, and we just I just pressed send and hoped for the best.
And I see you actually have an OnlyFans shirt here that says your platform at the bottom there for people that want to
Yes.
see.
It's the same handle as all my other social media, so my same Twitter, everything.
Now, as far as this physique of yours, is this something you've had to work for, or is this natural?
Well, my boobs are obviously fake. I got them to in an attempt to even out my ass, but that didn't work, so that's what I got.
How much can you squat? You look like you have very strong glutes.
I really I kinda work out, sporadically, so I don't really keep track of squatting and things like that, although I absolutely should. It's always best to lead a healthier lifestyle, but, um,
You
I
should do some
definitely,
workout videos. I'm sure the fans would love that.
I know, I know. I did a stretch one on my YouTube, during, COVID and everything from working from home, and I was like, "Hey, there's some stretches that work for me," and, that was a big hit, so I definitely should do another one.
Have you had any privacy issues as far as being a public figure now on social media? I know some of the lady wrestlers have had stalkers and so forth.
Mm-mm. No, knock on wood. Everyone's been great.
That's great. As far as your goals, what are your goals as far as growing everything? Obviously, you want to make as much money as possible.
I've been very lucky, in that aspect, but, I always kind of operate in the fashion that these things don't last forever, and so I'm just enjoying my time and having fun with it and just trying to be creative and, seeing where it leads me.
What type of content do you enjoy creating the most?
Hmm. I would have to say, I love my OnlyFans content, but I really enjoy the things I do on my YouTube. And I started my YouTube as an extension of my Twitter. Everyone kept asking me questions, and I would do these little Saturday speeches answering questions about my life. And so I started my YouTube page to kind of have an extension. So it's, I try on clothes that I just bought, or I do, recipes that I grew up eating, or things that I like to make, and just question and answers, and just things that people generally ask me. I tend to put them on my YouTube, and I have a really good time with it.
Now, this is a question somebody had online. The adult industry is evolving and becoming more inclusive. How do you view the changing landscape, and what role do you see yourself playing in this evolution?
I feel like the adult industry has really changed since the start of all of these subscription sites and things like that, because, OnlyFans and content creators that go on OnlyFans are, you're basically managing yourself and you're creating on your own, not backed by a studio. There's not somebody directing you. You're really just doing it on your own. And um, that is not how things were 10 years ago. You'd have to go and buy a DVD and keep it forever. And, we're so everything is electronic and immediate. I can snap something right now and upload it and it's there. So I don't think that we're revolutionizing the adult industry. It's always been around and in various forms, but you know, I don't consider myself an adult performer in the fact that because I'm not, you know, a, with a studio. I'm just kind of an amateur creator. So
And I believe the adult content that you make is with your husband too. Is that correct?
I have boy, girl, 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 and solo.
Okay. So you have other performers under your brand then?
I do.
Okay. Was that hard to recruit, or are they basically your friends that you've just recruited?
Well, there's certain criteria that most of the people that I know, you know, are like you want to collaborate with someone who is also on a marketing side going to be as beneficial to you as you are to them. So same size social media accounts, you know, 1% top 1% on OnlyFans, certain things, you know, that are going to help sell your product and promote your product just as much as your account would.
There's a fan on here that says you look like Stacy Keibler from WWE Hall of Famer.
Oh, wow.
She used
Thanks.
to date George Clooney.
I am very honored. Thank you.
Another fan wants to know, have you ever considered being a fashion model or actress?
I don't think my body type really works for the fashion industry, but I wouldn't mind being an actress or, you know, I love being in front of the camera. I do a lot of podcasts and I have a great time. Sometimes I've guest hosted podcasts and I love doing that. I love being interviewed. So I would definitely consider something along acting or, you know, some sort of interview role. That would definitely be fun.
Have you done any videos that are like the old school porns where it's half acting?
Like on a camcorder?
Yeah.
I have, you know, when people have asked for custom videos, I have, you know, kind of role played a scenario here and there. You know, somebody wanted me to, you know, pretend I was talking to the principal, you know, and get my kid out of trouble, that kind of thing. But overall, I'm not, you know, surprising the pizza delivery guy.
Another one that came from social media. Many people are curious about the financial aspects of creating adult content. Can you share some insight into the business side of your career, including earnings and financial management? I'm not sure if you're going to give out that much, but
I'm not getting into that, but you know, what I think content creators tend to not realize and when they first get started is, you know, you're on a 1099, which means no one's taking taxes out and you have to put that tax money aside because the tax man's going to come calling, and if you're not prepared and you spend all your money, you're not going to be able to pay your bill. And I think it's important, you know, get a separate account as soon as you take a payout, transfer that percentage right into the bank and don't touch it. And you know, just prepare yourself financially to, you know, don't spend all of your money. Don't, it's very nice looking in the bank, but don't be tempted. You have to be smart about your finances.
do you have a favorite video you've made for OnlyFans that you could maybe tell us about to maybe entice people to
Um,
watch?
I love some of my, you know, solo content with various toys that I've tried. I love all of my collaborations, especially the female ones. I've collaborated some amazing, amazing female content creators. And, you know, those have been really fun. And I've learned a lot from those women, you know, especially because some of them have been doing this longer than I have. And so it's nice to kind of meet up with someone who is also comfortable in their skin and can have a good time and, you know, wants to create some fun things for their audience. And, um, you know, I'm going to say, my if I had to pick one, I have one where it's a solo video and I have one of those electric, like, can I say a curse word on here?
Yeah, it might affect the revenue a bit, but sure,
Well,
go ahead.
I'm not going to say it out loud, but it's a, you know, it's a kind of a machine that does it for you, so to speak, a toy on the end of it. And so it's kind of an electric machine that has a toy on it. I'm trying to be very polite.
And speaking of that, like always in porn, I've heard Ron Jeremy say, like for a male porn star, you got to have like 9 inches or more. Would you say that's about accurate for what a guy
I mean,
needs?
I don't think I'm that long inside, so that length is probably not going to be really comfortable after a while. I've never had trouble with any size that I've ever had. I've never measured anybody either, so, um, you know, it stretches. It stretches and it comes back, so I think, I don't think that there's a lot of, I mean, I'm sure he's saying that because he's 9 inches, so
Yeah, and I think he's been canceled now over something. I'm not quite sure what, but
I think I heard that too. I'm not really too in tune with that, but haven't seen him for a while.
he's got to be probably the most successful male porn star of all time, though, I would say.
And definitely the most well known.
But I'm sure he wouldn't have been on your list of guys to work with.
Oh,
Now, here's
mm.
another one from Twitter. Legal and safety concerns are important in your industry. How do you ensure that your work complies with relevant laws and regulations? You already talked about the tax side of it.
Yeah. So, these platforms have pretty strict rules that you have to follow in order to keep your content listed. And certain things, you can't do a lewd act in public where someone may accidentally see you that's not prepared. So you can't, flash in the park, or you can't have, sex and, on a roller coaster where people can see you. So there's certain rules that you have to comply with in order, or they'll just take your stuff down. So there are guidelines. Each site has different ones. There's a whole list of words you can't say. There's all sorts of, things. So that I think is helpful if people actually read the guidelines. What I find is that people don't necessarily read them, and then they're shocked when their things get taken down. So save yourself the trouble, read through the terms of agreement and the terms of service for whatever platform you're using, and you should be good to go.
Do you have to provide like a signed written consent for people you work with and submit it to these platforms, or is that only if there's issues?
No, you do have to, they either have to be a verified creator on that platform, or you can submit a model release form, and that is submitted to the site.
Okay, so they do watch themselves fairly carefully then.
Hmm.
So you just usually would print out those model release forms and have them sign it before you.
Right, if you're working with someone who's not already a creator on there.
Okay. Now, when you work with someone that you collaborate with, do you both put the same content on each of your channels, or how does that work?
Usually, yeah, you'll release it at the same time.
Okay. And they take a percentage. That's how they make money, right? So,
20%.
oh, okay. So that's not that bad. But the actresses and actors that have managers, sometimes the management will also take a percentage, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's, OnlyFans management companies that'll manage your page for you, and they'll take 20%. And, it's, some of them are really great. And if they'll make you $10,000 more, that's $10,000 you didn't make. You know what I mean? So they're taking 20% of that. That's still, 20% you didn't have to do. But not all of them are going to treat your subscribers the way that you would, or, act in a manner that you would. So I always, you have to really do your research if you're going to work with a management company.
Do you take gifts from fans?
I did for a long time. I had a Amazon wish list and everything, but then after I moved, I was having issues with it, so I just took it down. I may consider doing Throne or something like that. But I used to get every day something on my Amazon wish list: my golf equipment, golf clothes, lingerie, toys. People were really, candles, really fun with it.
Wow, so this has been a fairly lucrative situation for you. I guess you don't have to work a normal job anymore.
I do, but I don't have to.
You just like, well, it's always a good idea if you can make extra money on the side.
Mm.
Anyway.
Yeah, and you know what? This could all end tomorrow.
True, you never know with social media. What's your favorite food?
I don't eat seafood. I wish I did, but I think it's like a texture thing. I'll eat an occasional shrimp, but that's about it. But I love Italian food. I love, anything you can throw in the barbecue, Portuguese food, everything.
Do you cook yourself as well?
I do. Yes, I love to cook. I love trying new recipes. I love grilling. Italian is my specialty. I make an amazing lasagna, but I'm not a very good baker. That's definitely one thing that I'm not very good at.
Are you Italian in ethnicity? Sorry.
Yes, I'm Irish and Italian.
Oh, that's an interesting combination.
Pretty much everyone in New Jersey is Irish and Italian.
Have you been to either Ireland or Italy?
Yes, I have both.
How were they?
Great. I mean, the food is amazing. The people are amazing. The weather isn't.
Now, I'm guessing if you're on Pornhub or X Hamster, it's probably not legally posted on there.
Correct.
Fan is asking on that, so we won't. You got to join her only. Where can people follow you? I mean, you're on YouTube as well.
Yes. So, I always direct everyone to my Twitter page because that's where you can really find, everything. It's messaging there is so easy, and you can find all my links to everything. I'm on Loyal Fans, I'm on Playboy Centerfold, OnlyFans, YouTube, where I have the most subscribers. I had the most subscribers on Instagram, but my page got deleted for some unknown reason. So I'm working to get it back. But I had, over 300,000 followers on Instagram. So hopefully that'll be back soon.
Now, what type of YouTube content do you have? I saw a few of them, it just seemed to be blogs, the ones that I saw.
I have a variety. So I do different try on hauls. I do cooking segments. I have, question and answers, informative things. I did some trivia stuff. I played a few games. So I do a variety. I think YouTube content is the hardest to create because you want to not do the same things over and over again, but people like the same things. Like my try on videos and my question and answers are the most popular, but I don't think everyone wants to see those all the time. So creating new content for YouTube is definitely the most challenging.
Well, very good. It's been interesting hearing your story.
Thank you.
And well, there's another question here. Someone wants to know what are some of the questions you get? Like, what's some examples of questions you get from the fans?
I get everything from, what's your favorite food? What kind of car do you drive? Where do you like to vacation? I do get a lot of X-rated questions, which I do answer, but I do it topless on my subscription sites. But I love to answer questions. I find it interesting to me, and I'm very flattering that people are so interested in things about me. So I just have fun with it. And I used to have all the videos posted on my Instagram, but we're working on it. There might be some old question and answers on my Twitter if you scroll through the media.
Very good. Do they ask you what your favorite position is and stuff like
Oh
that as
yeah,
well?
everything. What kind of toys do you like? What have you tried? What would you like to try? What's your fantasy? Um, all sorts of stuff.
Somebody wants to know an example of an odd one.
Um, what's an odd one that I've gotten? Um, I think someone asked me, trying to think, what would be an odd one? Have I ever ridden a camel? Like super kind of out there. I'm like, where are you going with this?
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, is there any vacation spots you'd like to go to, or if someone were to pay for a vacation for you to go, where
I
would
do
that be?
travel quite often, which I feel very lucky to do. I love, any place hot where I can lay by the pool and just relax. When I was growing up, we traveled a lot and did a lot of sightseeing and a lot of historical things, all the monuments, all, the historical places. And I was very grateful to have that experience. But now I just want to go to my destination and I don't want to leave. I don't want to get up. I want to lay by the pool, have a few cocktails, and just relax.
Now, this is kind of a funny question. Have you ever put those things on a scale?
You'd be surprised. Fake boobs weigh way less than real boobs because they're obviously filled with something artificial that's light. Real boobs are filled with fat. which is heavier. So these aren't really that heavy. I mean, I'm used to carrying them around, but they're not super heavy.
Well, you said earlier it was obvious they were fake. I honestly thought they were real just because, as you said, they do match your hips. You have
Thank
definitely,
you. So it worked. My theory worked.
yeah, I would never have guessed that. But I appreciate you coming on, and I'll let you
Thank you so
close.
much for having me.
It's a pleasure, and I suggest that the fans follow you. I'll let you close this off with whatever you
Sure.
want to say to plug for the fans and tell.
Yeah, you can either go to whateveramy.com and find all my links, or come find me on Twitter. It's, WHATEVAH, whatever, _AMY, and say hi to me.
And I'll fit this one in because I'm sure you might do this. Do you ever do video game streams if someone wants to?
I do not play video games, so I think that would be probably the worst stream you ever watched if I was to attempt playing a video game. I would die instantly. I think the last video game I played was like Zelda when I was.
My video game playing stopped at Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I remember playing Duck Hunt. I mean, that was pretty good at that, but.
Oh God. Yeah, that came.
I'm old. I'm from the Frogger days, Atari and.
Yeah, those were the good old days. Well, thanks again for coming on, and fans, be sure to follow her. I'll put up the picture again here with her social media links, and that must have been a professional hairstylist that did your hair there, right?
I actually did that myself and rumpled it up.
Oh wow, great picture. So we'll close it at that. Fans, follow her.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news.